The Roman Empire was not just a power, it was the greatest force the ancient world had ever seen. Spanning 3 continents, it commanded unstoppable legions, forged cities of stone and marble, and raised monuments that defy time itself, standing tall after 2,000 years. For centuries, Rome appeared untouchable, the eternal city at the heart of an empire that shaped language, law, culture, and the very art of war. Yet even the mightiest empires are not immortal. Political turmoil, crushing economic strains, barbarian onslaughts, and bloody civil wars tore at Rome's foundations until its world began to collapse, piece by piece, into ruin. This is the gripping tale of how history's greatest empire fell, and the haunting lessons its downfall still whispers to us today. The height of Rome. At its peak, Rome was the beating heart of civilization. Stretching from the deserts of Egypt to the cold forests of Britain, it controlled over 50 million people and countless cultures. The Pax Romana, Roman peace, ushered in an age of order, trade, and prosperity. Roads stretched for thousands of miles. Aqueducts carried fresh water into cities that dazzled the ancient world, and monumental architecture like the Colosseum and the Pantheon symbolized Rome's glory. Roman legions stood ready on the borders, disciplined and nearly unstoppable. From the outside, Rome appeared unshakable, an eternal empire destined to rule forever. But even in this golden age, weaknesses were forming beneath the surface. The empire's size made it fragile, its prosperity depended on constant expansion, and its wealth masked deep inequalities. The seeds of collapse were already being sown: economic strains and social decline. The empire's vastness was both its strength and its curse. Managing such enormous territories required staggering amounts of money. Soldiers demanded payment, fortifications needed upkeep, and grand cities consumed endless supplies. For centuries, conquest funded this system. New provinces brought new wealth. But once expansion slowed, Rome's economy faltered. Emperors turned to desperate measures, raising taxes and debasing the currency by reducing the silver content in coins. This triggered rampant inflation. The price of basic goods soared, while trust in Roman money plummeted. Ordinary farmers, once the empire's backbone, were crushed under heavy taxation. Many abandoned their land, fleeing to cities or falling into debt. As agriculture declined, so too did food supplies. Meanwhile, wealth pooled in the hands of a few elites, widening the gap between rich and poor. The Roman elite indulged in lavish banquets and extravagant villas, while ordinary citizens struggled to survive. The social contract that had once bound Romans together was breaking down, leaving the empire weaker and more divided. Political chaos and corruption. Rome's political system, once a proud republic, had long since transformed into an imperial monarchy. But by the 3rd century CE, the empire descended into chaos. Between 235 and 284, Rome endured the crisis of the 3rd century. In just 50 years, more than 20 emperors seized the throne, most through assassination or civil war. Generals raised armies not to defend the empire, but to claim power for themselves. Civil wars tore provinces apart, and loyalty to Rome faded as soldiers pledged allegiance to individual commanders. Corruption became rampant at every level of government. Officials extorted citizens, soldiers deserted their posts, and emperors often cared more about securing luxury than ensuring stability. This political instability shattered unity. Provinces began drifting away from Rome's control, and the idea of Rome as a single, eternal empire grew weaker by the year. Invasions and the shattering of Rome. While Rome struggled internally, threats beyond its borders intensified. For centuries, Roman armies had held back Germanic tribes, Persians, and nomadic groups. But by the 4th and 5th centuries, those enemies grew stronger, and Rome grew weaker. The Goths, Vandals, Huns, and other groups pressed into Roman lands. In 378 CE, at the Battle of Adrianople, the Visigoths annihilated a Roman army and killed the emperor himself. This was a devastating blow, proving Rome was no longer invincible. Then, in 410 CE, disaster struck. The Visigoths under Alaric marched into Rome and sacked the Eternal City. For Romans, this was unthinkable. Their city, untouched by foreign enemies for nearly 800 years, was burning. To the ancient world, it was a sign that Rome's days were numbered. Rome tried to recover, but the blows kept coming. In 455, the Vandals looted the city again. Provinces like Britain, Spain, and Gaul slipped away forever. By the mid-5th century, the Western Roman Empire was a hollow shell. Armies were filled with mercenaries who had little loyalty to Rome. Borders collapsed, and the empire's prestige crumbled. Finally, in 476 CE, the Germanic chieftain Odoacer deposed Romulus Augustulus, the last Western emperor. The empire that had once ruled the known world was gone. The legacy of Rome. Yet Rome never truly disappeared. The Eastern Roman Empire, based in Constantinople, survived for another 1,000 years as the Byzantine Empire. It preserved Roman laws, traditions, and culture long after the West had fallen, and Rome's influence echoes even in our modern world. Roman engineering, from aqueducts to concrete, still inspires architects. Latin gave birth to the Romance languages: Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, and Romanian. Roman law laid the foundation for legal systems across Europe. Even ideas of citizenship, government, and republicanism trace their roots back to Rome. The empire may have collapsed, but its spirit endured, shaping the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, and ultimately, our modern societies. Conclusion. So why did Rome fall? The truth is, no single reason brought down the empire. It was a perfect storm of economic strain, political corruption, external invasions, and cultural change. Rome didn't collapse overnight. It crumbled slowly, weakened from within before being toppled from without. The story of Rome is not just ancient history, it's a mirror. It reminds us that even the mightiest empires are not eternal. Power, wealth, and influence can fade if unity and stability are lost. And perhaps the greatest lesson Rome leaves us is this: civilizations endure not only by the strength of their armies, but by the strength of their people. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more epic stories from the past. Until next time, keep exploring history.